stage. The first presenter is Dr. Olubayo Adekombi. Is he here? Is he here? Is he in the house? Hello? Who knows him? Did anyone see him around? Prof, do you know him? Professor Okonofwa. Who is Dr. Olubayo Adekombi? It's not here. Okay. His topic is artificial intelligence and machine learning, implications for Africa's digital evolution and development. Dr. Olubayo Adekombi. The second presenter, who is also the chair, is Professor Christian Happy. I know we've been seeing him around. He's not around. He's supposed to talk on genomics and genetic engineering as tools for Africa's development. Okay. He's not here. Wow. The third presenter is Mr. Ngono Ntawe. Is he here? The technical people, these people send their papers. Technical, do you have their papers?
Is it physical? Yes. Where is it?
Which one?
I know, but where is he?
Ogono, is he online? Is he online? No. But you have the paper. Okay. The fourth person is our dear friend. I'm sure he can speak for the 2 hours. If the others don't come, we won't miss anything. And that is Dr. Omar Buba Binder. It's a moving information. It's filled with information. Keep clapping. Keep clapping this way. Okay. Dr. Binder is a one-time director of NOTAP. He's an entrepreneur. He's an innovator. Keep clapping. Keep clapping for him. He's a member of TED Fund NRF. He's a mover and shaker. He is an academic politician. He tells you you have to combine politics with academic so that you will be heard. He has a lot of patents as well. So we are listening to someone who has experience. And I want to say that he delivered the convocation lecture, my last convocation as Vice Chancellor at Christland University a few weeks ago. That lecture was delivered by none other than Dr. Omar Buba Binder. Keep clapping. Keep clapping. Keep clapping. Since we have not been reading profiles, I don't know if his profile is here. It can be another lecture, so I can read it, since he is the owner of today. What page? Does he have a profile, Prof? Is he here? What page? Wow. I didn't see it. Wow. Prof, I cannot see your page. Okay. I cannot see the profile, but it would have been good to know this speaker today. He's a global entrepreneur. And I just want to say that in November, the TED Fund organized what we call TED Fair to showcase innovative products by Nigerians. And it was headed, that's the first of its kind, by TED Fund, and it was chaired by Dr. Bindu. And that's one of the best fairs that I have attended in recent time. And he was able to bring academia and industry and tech hubs together. It was a very unique one. Congratulations, sir. So join me to welcome Dr. Bindu up here. He owns this session, and his title is Innovation and Commercialization, the Rubik's Rudiments and Prospects for Africa. You're going to hear wonderful things. He's going to tell you how to make money. Those of you that don't know how to make money. Thank you. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, Prof. It's a wonderful opportunity to see so many of my mentors, my friends, my colleagues here. My father, Professor Ogumola, is here. My sister, who we've been working together for many times, and then one very dangerous professor who has been working with me for many, many years, doing crazy things. Professor Opara, he's sitting there, and this man can change apples into lawn tennis balls, I'm telling you. Anyway, so, oh, my father is also there. Professor Tomori, good evening. Thank you. Now, I really thank the organizers for inviting me. I actually came in from Yola yesterday just to come and attend this and then make this short presentation. So thank you very much. Now, as you heard, my name is Umar Bindir. I actually became an associate professor in 1998, but very few people have ever called me professor. You know why? Because when I did that, I left the university system and I entered the public service system. And in the public service, when they call you professor, you are dead and buried because they think you are very far from them and you are too theoretical in university. So you want to survive, you just put that in a bag somewhere until you go back to the university. I did not even use the PhD doctor for the same reason, but I continue to use engineer because they respect engineers. They think we're solution providers. So I survived. And I survived because this is what I've been. I'm an agriculture, power, and machinery engineer specialist. I have all these fellowships. I only do it when I'm addressing very high-powered professors like this, just to be relevant. But if not, you wouldn't have seen these things. From academia, I moved to industry very, very briefly, and then I became a civil servant. I rotated around the federal civil service. I was a director in the presidency. I was part of the poverty eradication programs all along. I was the director of sports. You cannot believe that. And I landed in the Ministry of Science and Technology at the later part of my career in the civil service. It was from there that they actually harvested me to go and head the Technology Transfer Office of Nigeria, which is the National Office for Technology Acquisition and Promotion, back in 2009. I did just 6 years, and then some group came from Adamawa State. When one young man became the governor, and they believed that he needed some support. And then they came to my office and deceived me to now go and join the young man in Adamawa to become the secretary to the government. I listened to them, and I went to Adamawa, and I served for 4 years, and that was when I realized that my choice to totally eradicate your technical qualification to one side is very, very useful. You know, these people don't understand these technicalities. When you want to organize things, they don't want to organize it. But I survived for some time. Finished, came back, went back to the academia, and then I ended up as the national coordinator again in the social investment package. So, but as you see me, I am now a social entrepreneur. Okay? Yeah, I'm a social entrepreneur now. Not engineer, not doctor, no professor, nothing. And what I do is that I created this. This is what academics do to you. you just create things and then people believe you. And now it's a very serious profession. Now everybody wants to become social investment person. So I invest in people. And I can tell you, I am from Yola town. This is my town in the heart of Adamawa State, one of the 36 states in Nigeria, in the northeast. We suffered part of the Boko Haram, but we're totally free from that now. So when I went back, I sold everything I had. I sold my house, I sold my 2 cars, I had 2 plots of land. One, I intended to build a school. I sold it. I sold my goats and sheep and so on. I'm a full animal. And my mother was worried that actually this academia has shocked my head and I'm now going crazy. So then I bought this place. He said, somebody just in the community where I grew up. And then I smashed it down. You know, just note the 2 electricity posts and then the further line that goes there. I smashed it down and then I built this on that same spot. Some people thought I was building a supermarket. The reason why I'm showing you this is because I want some of you to retire properly. You know what Africa does to you is that you do all these successful things. If you're not careful, you will retire to your community, you will establish a business center, or you establish a shop, you are selling cola nuts and kerosene and so on. I thought that is very, very demeaning for a technocrat at this level to go back and start doing things right at the bottom. So I built this up, and then this is the whole place. I put water there 24/7. I put electricity 24/7. I made sure that the place is comfortable, and then I installed a VSAT to make sure that the place is connected to the internet 24/7. This is the beginning of your technical retirement. You have to showcase difference, that what you are doing is different. And then I registered an NGO. I call it the Bindle Knowledge Development Center International. This is not a school. I don't want curriculum again. I don't want tests and exams. I want any child that comes into my facility, when they go out, they will go and tell their mothers a different story. That was my intention. So I made it the headquarters, and in the middle of the headquarters, I have the hall, an ICT hall. I have 160 computers in this place, all of them live, connected to the internet. I have CCTV, I can dial it from here and see exactly what is happening there. And I used to take 100 children every day from the surrounding schools, the ones that are out of school, whatever, 100 every single day. And I was not paying one single teacher. What I did was, one thing again that Africa has is that in our communities, because normally the house is full of people, and you cannot relax like some of you relax in your house. It's only you and your wife and your 2 children. In the generic houses, there are like 10 or 15. There's no way you can rest. So they go out and they sit under trees and they're telling stories. They're eating groundnuts and sugarcane and so on and so forth. What I studied and I surveyed, I realized that under those trees, you will see that like 4 or 5 graduates of tertiary institutions, you know, somehow African rural systems has a way of bringing you down to normal. No matter how much your education, once you start sitting under that tree, your hat starts looking one kind, your shoes is now looking disorganized, you wear clothes that is not ironed, and you're talking illogical things, and then it brings you down to normal. So I harvested these graduates. I said, come and help me. Come and learn how to do philanthropy. Come and engage your children in my center, and what you get in return is you will get connectivity to the internet. You can do anything you like, and I have my computers. You can type, you can write, you can print, I buy papers and everything. And I attracted many, many of them. And they used to engage with this, my children. They will be on the internet, and I was very happy seeing 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds now really with a mouse looking through to find information in the internet. That's very, very, so what we do there, we train, we give support to students who are revising to go and sit exams. Don't worry taking pictures. I'll give you this paper. It's free. There's no IP on it. Okay? So we support young people on career guidance. I know I became an engineer. I wrote to this level. Nobody guided me. It's just God that was teaching me. But we realized that probably that's one of the problems. So we sit with children to tell them the implications of becoming a doctor, an engineer, a lawyer, an administrator, and so on and so on, at the age of 9, and they seem to be working. We support and help government to design programs that can solve problems of the society. We provide community communication. So if you are wedding, our center will tell the whole place. If there is death and they need greetings, we will tell. If there is also a newborn child, we do that. And then we do community livelihood and entrepreneurship. We train people. We realize that in Africa, one of the richest sources of inspiration and growth is the survival trades. All our mothers knew how to smoke fish, how to extract oil out of groundnuts, how to fry groundnut cookies, how to make local juices, but they die poor. This is it that we spend time in the universities trying to teach. They do esterification, fermentation, very complex academic things without even knowing what it is. So we filter these things, lift it up a little bit, and get the community to become entrepreneurial, and even get off-takers to do that. We saw lots of community interest, but we did not realize that if you don't include some joy, some people to come together, it will not work. So I bought the next plot of land, and then I made it into a sports space. I used to play badminton for Nigeria, and therefore I marked 3 badminton courts. I bought 4 table tennis tables and pool tables, Scrabble, and so on. And then every day there is an activity. And one thing that you don't know what sports does is that in sports, there's no sentiment of tribe or religion or race. It's either you know what to do or you don't know. And then it brings people together, and we were seeing peace coming up within our community because of this free facility. In fact, one part of the space, we painted it white like that. And every 2 weeks, we do a movie. That is not American movie or European movie or Indian movie or Nigerian movie. We have videographers in our community. I send them out to take small videos of the tailors, the mama puts, the hoteliers, the people who are actually even beggars. They stitch it together into a movie, and then we show the community. You cannot believe it if you see a community person seeing themselves on screen. They will keep talking about that for the next 10 years. And we gingered this all to happen in that place. So we saw a lot of improvements and so on and so forth. And in the future, this is what I want to turn the facility. I want to make sure that it becomes a social mobilization hub, a community development center, and so on, and all these technology development hub. And then I thought I should advise you that from now, if you are not retired, plan to retire properly in your community. Don't go back and have a small farm and you also start harvesting 3 bags and 4 bags. Even the local farmers are better than you. This is not right. And therefore, you have to demonstrate that you've been in an academia environment for the last 20, 30 years. So, you are invited to partner with us. We're prepared to give you all the information we have. But if you have in your house those old books of your children, Toma and Tani, Post in Books and whatever, give it to us. We will find usefulness for that. So this is how I will try it in the next few years. But today, I want to speak to you about innovation and commercialization. This is a very, very sensitive area. And I think the academy put all these things that I don't understand, the rubrics, rudiments, and so on and so on. I just copied it and pasted it, to be quite honest with you. But I thought maybe Professor is talking about the value chain of how you do that. So that's how I constructed the paper. But you see, the traditional template for all these discussions is that for you to be effective with your knowledge affecting people, you have to generate not just knowledge, the knowledge has to be relevant. And because the knowledge is relevant, it becomes transformable to something that can change the lives of people. It must become technology that is useful. If you now have series of technologies like that, you have to have capacity to filter and protect some of the technologies so that you can take benefits of these things as you reel them out. And that is how you commercialize them, and then you sustain that energy of knowledge generation, transforming to technology, using the technology to improve your productivity by dynamically doing further research and further creativity. This is literally the value chain. And this template, most especially the innovation and commercialization component, when it is evolved well, when it is practiced well, and any country, does not matter which country, you will see that it will unleash the opportunities in that country, and the simple indicators, who nobody need to tell you that this is working, there are 3. Once you don't see these 3, you are just sort of like traditional academic. You're working on whatever you want. You get the knowledge. You showcase that you are very, very intelligent. You publish papers. You grow. You become a very powerful knowledge worker. If you don't see these 3 things, you are actually a problem if you are not careful. The first index is that, particularly for Africa, absolute poverty will start disappearing if this is working. Absolute poverty is not the relative poverty, that Prof has 2 cars and I have 1 car. No. This absolute poverty is where you have so many children that cannot have access to basic education. Mothers are not able to go to healthcare facilities to deliver their children safely and go home. There's no clean water to drink, so people are actually facing waterborne diseases. And then there's sanitation challenges, and their shelter is not good, such that they are constantly dreaming evil things and so on. And in the morning, they start quarreling that someone has sent some evil spirit. This particular issue is an issue of Africa. 55 countries, all, not one single one is actually developed. It's a challenge. If our knowledge is working, this will start running away. Technology, commercialization, and so on cannot coexist with poverty. Poverty doesn't like that. Once you start getting it right, poverty will race off. But when you see poverty relaxed and it is just getting fatter, then fine, you are the problem. What you are doing is not working. So even if this works, the next thing that you have to ensure that you do to make sure that the poverty doesn't come is that you must make sure that you give all the people in the community, in the country, opportunities to attain a happy, safe, and fulfilling lives through, they must have skills and competencies. They must know how to do these things. They must know how to build houses, how to lay tiles, how to plant well, process well, and so on and so forth. Using those skills, they will now form micro or small enterprises. They will have jobs, and they will be able to create wealth and prosper. I have worked in many countries, and I have not seen a country where young people have skills, and they have jobs that pay. They work for 8 hours. They go home, eat dinner, and then flex and say, let us go and kill people now. That doesn't happen. So it is an antidote to that. Then such people will have great ethics. Even the way they greet you, they know that they know something, and so on and so forth. At the 3rd level, final level, if it's working, is that this knowledge functioning will now move your country to emerge as a knowledge and learning society, such that even when the problem is popping out, it knows that you are ready. In fact, when you reach this level, you create the problem, and then you solve it arrogantly. You know? So, evidences where these 3 are happening is everywhere in countries, and all of us here know. And in those countries where this is working, you'll find that globally, they are visible in leadership. People recognize them. You know, they are respected. They are actually the custodians of best practices globally. So when you are telling your students, you know, according to best practices, it's not the best practice of your country. It's the best country of those countries that have gotten it right. And you see that they have leading globally, their enterprises and institutions are working. They know how they come to your country and solve your problems and carry your money and go. And they showcase capabilities, capacities, and so on and so forth. Why? Because they're dynamically very creative and innovative. And these countries, we call them the rich and developed countries. That is the definition of the first world. They have conquered poverty. They are the ones creating and manufacturing cars and aeroplanes and trains and so on and so forth. And they are anything you talk about knowledge, they are the custodians of that. So now the question is, how did they do it? How did they climb that position of superiority? What are the secrets that they have done? And I want to decode it. I think I'm preaching to the converted. Number one, in those countries, their development policies are practically evidence-based. They have statistics. They analyze it, even if it is going to go against them. Even if they are going to tell you that they are bad, they showcase that this is the problem so that they know how to actually move. This is the beginning of the triple helix. Government must make sure that everything here is actually evidence-based on all the sectors. In those countries, they have their own research, technology, and innovation. Their universities, their polytechnics, their research institutions are very, very vibrant. As you sit today, on your smart device, if you Google top 100 universities in the world, all the 100 universities will be in those countries. You will not find your country university in that. They make sure that that happens. Number three, they have system innovation, institutional system of innovation, meaning systems, institutions work together to be stronger so that they can be able to conquer their areas of comparative advantage. Not like we do. This research institute, this is my mandate, This is my money. This is my workers. This is my vehicle. Don't come here. I have seen in this country that institutions are fighting on mandate. Why is this person doing this? After all, no institution can be able to implement their mandate by themselves. There is no wall in mandate. Those countries doesn't joke like this. They bring the population, they bring the ID card people, they bring everybody so that they can have a very sharp database, and then AI can work for them. Then in those countries, they have sustained research and development investment. Some of these countries are in trillions of dollars in terms of GDP. 3 to 5, sometimes up to 8% of that value is injected in R&D every single year. If you don't do that, you will not attain those 3. This is the secret. You must keep that knowledge society ball rolling, otherwise it will not happen. Raw material endowment. In those countries, when they have raw material, you will not even know. They will cover it because they will add value. But here you have in Africa, countries with crude oil. In that crude, there is petrol, there is kerosene, there is diesel, there is all sorts of food. But no, we sell this crude cheaply out, and then we sit down in comfort waiting for petrol to come. We export prosperity, and then we invite poverty into our country. Those countries doesn't play with this. That is where the knowledge is. Then in those countries, they have prioritized technology acquisition focus. They know exactly where they want to showcase superiority, and they pick it, and they hold it, and you cannot penetrate it. Even developed countries like Finland, go and ask Finland how they lost Nokia superiority. They relaxed a little bit, not knowing that people have actually gone. By the time all the smart devices came, Nokia was struggling. Till today, they are still struggling. Whatever they do, they realize that a patent has been protected on that technology globally, and then they cannot penetrate it, they will use. So this is it. Then, in those countries, they have very strong intellectual property management. Their patenting system is sharp, knowing that a patent, this is what we don't understand in Africa. Patent is only a certificate of occupancy, literally. And you get it on the basis of 3 things. First, it must be novel. Nobody has thought of it in this territory or in the world. Second, it must be something that is applicable, so that it is not just something stray. And third, even if you're a professor in that field, that thing should be non-obvious. This is very, very difficult to get. But I'm telling you, in those countries, they make it look so simple, to the extent that very small universities, you find that the number of patents that are actually coming out is very, very well. And then they use ICT very, very intensely to make sure that they're good, they're smooth, they're cheaper, of high quality, and quick. And then they have viable research industry linkage, all the high-tech company politics, the science and technology park system, the incubation, and so on and so forth. They make sure that they move it aggressively to make sure that this knowledge that is coming out doesn't just waste. Many of the universities in those countries have their science and technology park there. Professors are millionaires in terms of, I normally say, jokingly here, is that when you take University of Ibadan, my father is from there, or ABU Zaria, and so on and so forth, and then you get a professor who wants to go to Lagos for conference. And then the professor this is the very highest knowledge worker. He's calling his brother in Lagos, hey, my friend, I'm coming for conference, so pick me up from the airport. So he has booked his transport, and he also booked his accommodation. No, professor is the special material. He should have express, visa card. He walks majestically at the airport. Car hire is waiting for him. He goes to Sheraton and put it on the table. Do you have ambassadorial suit? When they say, no, we don't have it, he gets annoyed. He says, okay, I will manage with, this is the level. And if you don't have this linkage, working for professors while teaching and making money, it will not happen, So, now, in the early decades, successful countries that have been able to do this are in the Europeans and the Americans, right? And they globally dominated everything. You want a good road, you have to go to them. You wanted a train, you have to go to them. Big building like this at that time. And then globalization came in the 70s and 80s, meaning there is an international agreement that you must create a window so that you can jump into another person's country and allow others to jump into your country. What Africa has not understood with this is that once they preach globalization, we remove the window, we remove the door, we remove the wall and say, hey, we are now your friends, just come in. Globalization is there's a gate with a big questions. Hey, what are you coming to do in your answer? Why do you want to do this? Our own is right through. But then some countries understood this. And then they resolved to say, no, if we want train, we want to also do trains. We want planes repaired, we want to repair the planes. We want to build nice bridges, we want to do that. So they followed carefully that menu that I showed you. And they learned and they adopted all these things. And today, they are scattered in South America, Asia, and Oceania as emerging rich countries. And they are also showcasing the kind of key performance indicators that those countries are showcasing. On the other hand, many countries have not properly taken the advantage of this globalization. We didn't even understand the menu, so we did not follow. We didn't learn or adopt anything. And we are today a whole continent of poor and vulnerable countries. We, the professionals and policymakers, we have not resolved to reject our own individual country values to solve the challenges of our country. You go to every country, the roads are not very good. You go to most countries, the rural areas are bad. You go to each country, they are canceling flights at random. You go to the country, oh, no, their diamond has to be taken out. Their crew, it's just the same story. And that is why we are in this category. The whole continent is a third world country continent. But some are called developing poor countries. Others are least developed. Others are underdeveloping, and others are underdeveloped. I have been in a conference where there was an argument when the World Bank was giving a grant to least developed countries. So there was a conference in Nigeria to actually assess whether we are a developing country or least developed. And I think by the time we discussed, knowing that you will get money if you are least developed, we resolved that we are least developed. And then we collected the money, and that's it. But you know, you are in the same category. It doesn't matter. So because we are in this category, we are globally blurred. Nobody sees us with any importance. We are not very well respected. In fact, we are custodians of bad practices globally. Anywhere there's bad practices, they say, oh, it's Nigeria, oh, it's Ghana, and so on and so forth. We don't have global enterprises and institutions. We're very, very meager. Some of you, God so kind, global know-how and competencies. We're very weak capabilities, and so on and so forth. I'm sure we have reflected this. I'm just preaching to the converted. But every time we try to address these issues, we have returned bad scores, unfortunately. So, in my opinion, why? Why are we doing this? The technical reasons rotate around the fact that even us who are in this sector, we are yet to realize and resolve that to achieve this sharp development, we must be able to have vibrant, connective, efficient, and effective knowledge value chain in our continent. And this has to be based on strong science, technology, engineering, and innovation. There is no cutting corners. This is the master key. Any country that wants to break out of this, this is it. If we don't want to do this, we are rotating around, quarreling and fighting and so on and so forth. That is our problem. So I will just take 2 minutes and be able to look at this particular value chain. So I now broke the value chain into 3 houses. I want you to assess which house do you belong to. I broke the science house, the engineering and technology house, and the innovation house. So I took the science house. In this house, who do you find in this house? You find people who have ability to study, generate knowledge, discover things across, conceive possibilities, document them, communicate to them like I'm doing now with you, publish them, and so on and so forth. And who are these people? It takes a long time and investment to bring them out. They are very highly trained and qualified. They use expensive tools and facilities, and you have to maintain their motivation for them to function. And they're the specialists. I am a scientist. I am a researcher. And in most of them, they're actually, relative to the system, they're actually high-wage workers in that country. But what do you get from them? First, you get research infrastructure. I'm sure some of you here, you will put your shoulder up and you say, I have the best laboratory in Africa. Yeah, tick. Fantastic. Shake your hand. You have done very well. And then I have a PhD. Respect me, you know. Tell you, doctor. I am now publishing world-class publication. When you, in clubs, when we discuss, when you get an email saying your paper has been received or accepted in that particular first impact, highest, you are dancing, you don't even sleep. So, well done. And you become a professor with very, very serious publications. You are widely cited in the West, because most of the high-level journals are not your journals. They are journals somewhere else. You are cited there. and you have very strong academic partnership. There are Taiwanese that will call Professor Opera because they are looking at apples. He is the master, and they will call you and say, we want you to partner, and he feels very happy. But actually, the thing that you get from this group is you get knowledge, you get expertise, and you get specialization. You are the best in the world. But what is your relevance on what we are talking about now? If you are breeding only these people, you do put all your money only these people, and you have a big room, and you have all these PhDs, professors, papers, labs, you still have to import rice from Vietnam. They are not as effective as you think. They need help. And that help they require is what moves you into the next house of engineering and technology. Some of them can creep into this. But in this house, this is why you have the ability to transform knowledge into socio-economic solutions. This is a new capability. It's not the research capability of cracking yourself, designing and everything. This is practical. Liquid crystal display is only a paste. You excite it with random electricity and it's glowing, and you can write papers and become a professor. It's totally useless. Until you get technicians pressing it into tiny sheets, exciting it with controlled voltage, it starts showing you regular green, white, green. With a bit of chance, you start seeing images. Then you start saying, there is a potential here. The scientists might be able to do it, and in most cases, they are not. You need a new crop of people to do that. And these are also very expensive people. They are technocrats, engineers, artisans, handy and so on. They are highly skilled in doing that, and they show you the proof of concept, and they start showcasing you the prototypes and the pilot plants. But I can tell you, what you get in this house, in literal sense, it's not products. You cannot, so many times Professor Opara has come up with unique technology because he has entered as an engineer into the technology and engineering house. But the prototype you put, I'm an agricultural machinery engineer, you can showcase it. It is shaking all over the place, but it can show you that it's polishing rice. That you cannot sell. The rice is jumping up and down all over the place. If it is cassava grater, it is making the whole compound cannot sleep if that machine is working. That is not a product. What you have showcased there, if you use your information and come up with that prototype, is intellectual property. You've demonstrated that your brain is actually functional and you have a property. So I argue with people sometimes, that's when I left the university. I say, if you enter a university, particularly in Africa, and you see somebody is with a walking stick, and he's bending down, he's moving very, very slowly. His shoes is looking one kind, and he has not combed his hair for a minute. Chances are that he's a professor. So try it and say, good morning, prof. You'll say, hello, my son, and he's walked. Why? Because we don't recognize this. He's probably in this house. His head can change this country. But no, we like people with big gowns, even if they are idiots, carrying very expensive telephones, and then we go, good morning, sir, and he will shake his hand, using cars and so on and so forth, and that is why we are not making progress. But this intellectual property, as I said before, it is just like any other property. Your car is your property. You must have papers to prove that that is your car. Your house, if you don't have certificate of occupancy, you cannot prove that this is your house. Your farm, if I start farming on your farm, if you don't have papers, you cannot prove and chase me out. The same thing with this intangible property. You need a paper. If you don't have a paper, you cannot say, oh, I am the one who studied this and is transformed to this, so please don't touch it, you have to talk to me. They will just slap you and then walk away with whatever it is. If you publish it and you publish everything from the science into the technology house, it's gone. It's into what we call as public domain. Some people can utilize it and so on. So how to protect it? A patent is only a piece of paper. It's the certificate of occupancy to show that if you touch this in this territory without talking to me, I'll take you to court. Trademark, you see this water here? It's also technology. It's intellectual. You see this band, this blue paper here, if you peel it and you leave the bottle in this hole, come next year you will see it. Because people will think that there's voodoo, you want to kill them and so on and so on. Just this paper deceives the people that this is okay. That is also intellectual property. Industrial design, the shape of this bottle, bluish, deceiving or convincing you to just get on with it, is also technology. Somebody, these people that when we were in universities, they're in Faculty of Arts, they are dancing, they are painting, and some of us engineers and medical doctors and so don't think that they are actually material for university. Well, why are they coming in university? Let me tell you this story. Without them, you cannot sell your products. These people are more important than you. They are the ones that come up with this. That too is their own technology. Trade secrets. Just close your mouth, particularly in the food industry. Okpara knows about that. Talk, and that intellectual property is gone. My mother used to have, I didn't know until I specialized like this, I didn't know my mother has so many trade secrets. You know, when she fries akara, bean cakes for us in the morning to go to school, she puts the oil, put firewood, and she sweep it. And after some time, she cut a bit of onion and drop it. The onion would move like that. No, it's not done yet. She continues. Then lastly, she put, and the onion does that, changes the color. She said, it's okay. She fries the bean cake. It's all done. We eat it. Nice, we go to school. If you want to know that temperature, you approach the food science and technology department of some faculty of engineering in any university near you. The first thing you will get is a research proposal. You know, the large team of professors, then the equipment. I need a viscometer. I need a thermocouple. I need a reflector of some kind. I need this, and that. So they give you all that. You work for 9 months, and you think you have gotten to that temperature. You bring it, and you fry the bean cake, and in the middle, it's not cooked. So you ask, professor, this is not working very well. Then you look at it. This is why professors are specialists. We be PhDs. Then you say, well, you know, the calorific value of the Oyo State oils and the oleochemical characteristics of the Maiduguri oil is different. We have to characterize this first before we do. You confuse the whole system with knowledge, and then still you don't know that. My mother knew it from nothing, just onion and oil. So that's trade secret when you cough out, and so on and so forth. So, and then all the copyright IP. Now, this intellectual property, even if you have it protected, then you have to make sure that you transfer it. Otherwise, it's a liability. Many of you here who have patents, every year you are paying to maintain the patent for 20 years. It is eating from your meager resources. But for you to be able to turn that into an asset, you have to move it for somebody to use it and pay you money. And these are some of the methodologies to do that. And we call that technology transfer. I know for some reason, many Africans are confused that technology transfer doesn't happen. And you have to steal technology. No. As I'm talking to you now, I'm transferring technology on these few things that you don't know. Free. Technology transfer is happening all the time. When you hear stealing technology, that is the espionage level. And that is competition to make sure that you are going on that or nobody defeats you. But you can sell it outright, you can actualize it yourself, and so on and so forth. There are many methodologies on this. I need to complete now. So it is this art of knowing when, how, and to who do you move technology into the market. That is when you enter the house of innovation. In Africa, some people are defining innovation. They will say invention and innovation. No. Invention is a technical word of transforming knowledge into solution. Innovation is a commercial side. You are utilizing existing technology to make sure that you conquer the market. You employ people, you provide products, you push your country to the highest level, and so on and so forth. And this is where the dynamism of the whole thing. It is in this house that you will find Dangote. In this house, you will find people in the business administration or business studies in your universities. Some of you scientists, you don't talk to them. You think, oh, they are social scientists. They are the ones to prepare the feasibility for you, to do the financing planning for you, to package certain things for you to be able to move the technology. IP management, the faculty of law is very important. There are some of you throughout your career, you've never spoken to the people in the faculty of law. Big professors, they know intellectual property. They know the licensing agreements. And then, and so on and so forth. I can see Professor moving now, so I'm better round up. So, when these houses are effectively integrated, such that the scientists are pouring science that is relevant, and the technologies are picking the knowledge and transforming it into solutions, and then the innovators are taking the solutions to reel out products and services, you then start seeing great entrepreneurs, functional enterprises, skillful people, great products, and so on and so forth, coming out of your system. I just took deliberately because you are in Nigeria. I want to excite you with the Nigerian system. This Nigerian system on all these things that we have done theoretically. Look at our knowledge infrastructure. Nearly 300 universities in this country. No country has that. Nearly 600 Board of Technology Education institutions. Over 300 research institutions, some of them are monomandated, and so on and so forth. Despite this energy that should conquer all issues to do with those three things that we said, poverty, skills, and then keeping a country to afloat, despite all these, I can tell you 70% of our population are living in rural areas in this country. And rural areas in Nigeria are not nice areas. There are areas where the roads are not good. There are areas where this is how the children go to school. But some people will boast that we can export timber, but we cannot make tables and chairs for children at the basic education. I took this picture from a school. We are exporting cement out of this country, but we cannot make floor for our children to sit and proceed to protect us in the future. This is the water supply in those rural areas, if they are lucky. And we are agricultural machinery professors, but these are the professors that matter. These are the people from the one corner of Nigeria to the other. It is about hoes, bush knives, cutlasses. You don't see tractors penetrating the small-scale system. No, this is it. And we can be able to open our eyes and say, no, come on, our agriculture is very strong. It is the master of all employment in Nigeria. Well, I tell you, these are the MDs of those companies employing people in those rural areas. And this is how their products are. Totally ungradable and unindustrializable. Processing of food. This is gari that is supposed to be globally the most wonderful, the wonder food of Africa. You can drink it just like this. You can drink it with sugar, with milk, with honey. You can cook it and eat it with vegetable. Yet, of over 1,000 full professors of cassava technology in Nigeria, cassava is still planted manually. It is harvested manually. It is processed manually. And when you are doing lunch, you are eating it manually. It has refused to change, And then flooding is everywhere in our community. Every year it happens. We are powerful scientists and engineers. The same river is going to overflow and is going to chase the same villages. Every year is just an announcement, run for your life. The water is coming. We have failed to actually connect with that. Our cows can move from one corner of the country to the other. But all of us know, what are cows for industrially? Meat, milk, and the byproduct is hide. A cow that has a big udder full of milk cannot move for 100 meters, but our cows can move for 1,000 kilometers. Cows that are for beef cannot move for 100 meters, but our cows can relax, meaning that, yes, we have livestock, but that knowledge to say that this is what you breed, this is how you formulate the feed, so that the udder will be like this and the meat like this, we have failed the system. And therefore, they're running up and down, eating people's crops, and then causing so many confusion. The markets in those rural areas has refused to change. And even when they produce things, perishables are marketed very, very crudely. The sanitation in the communities are terrible. And when our own students, all the effort we do, when they graduate, they cannot see the opportunities in the system because we've not hammered it very well, and they start selling Chinese products all over the place. The fundamental reason why all this is happening, not only in Nigeria but in all Africa, is because it is not that we do not have science. We have. Look at professors here. But that science is looking away from the country. We're just doing crystal things, publishing, and growing, and so on and so forth. We have even failed to come up with the knowledge that can transform to become Nigerian or African technology. So the technologies we are using are not using our knowledge. So it's not connected. And at the end of the day, everybody here has a smart device. Our innovation is not connected to our knowledge system and the knowledge transformation system at all. We're all looking at different angles. And this is the proof that you can have knowledge and you can have people who require the services of the knowledge, but there's a value of death. And that value of death, you have to find on how do we cross it. What to do then? So I congratulate the academy that what you do is you have to bring the scientists. I think one of the things that conferences like this should also do, you have to bring technologists too. And you have to bring business people too. So that when you talk like this, you are bringing people together. You must continue to do this, and they must continue to grow together until you get an overlap. That overlap in the center, all the science have become technology. All the technology has become products. It's employing people, it's generating, raising the profile. In some countries, this Venn diagram is totally very highly close. That overlap there is measurable. There is no African country that have done that study to showcase the overlap of its own science and its technology and innovation so that they can be able to change. This is what drives you back to the policy. So, and it's only when you do this that you must have constructed a bridge and you can actually pass over that bridge. More specifically, as I conclude, what we need to do is that, because I'm talking to academics, I think our own tertiary institutions where you spend a lot of time must transform. Let us not just maintain these training centers and schooling. Every single system like that must evolve to become an R&D and experimentation centers of excellence of the relevant things, of the agriculture, of the solid mineral, of the oil and gas. We must be able to ensure that production and industrialization is demonstrated on our campuses so that people can see we are smart, we're also making money. And we must be able to transform to become enterprises who need to sell our products. IP should be coming out. On this point, I can tell you, the Vice Chancellor of University of Maiduguri, second generation university, Vice Chancellor of University of Benin, first generation university, Ibadan, very powerful university, and the Vice Chancellor or the President of MIT will be talking like this. Hello, hello, how are you? At some international conference. So by mistake, our own Vice Chancellor will ask the MIT, hey, MIT, you seem to be very, very strong. You are doing a lot of patenting. How much money are you making from licensing your technology and your IP? Vice Chancellor or President will say, well, last year we did $20 billion. That is not very good. You know, we need to upgrade it to 50, but we're working hard at it. Oh, yeah, Ibadan, how are you? What are you repatriating from? Ibadan will say, calm down. What we're doing now, this is now December. By January, the government will release the budget, and then we will know exactly what we have. This is the story. This story has to change so that we become literally enterprises. So we must also be part of the collaboration system. I keep saying this. All our presidents, when they travel, you just see the high-profile politicians entering the plane. They go to Germany, they go to China, they go to Korea. You don't see technical people who should be part of that meeting to ensure that collaborating nationally and internationally, this is the tool you use. And we should not stop talking. And this is, again, another component of the triple helix. And then, once you have this system, that university, having enterprises, selling this, making money, you'll find that both the teachers, the researchers, and the students will evolve to become innovative entrepreneurs and business leaders. We will have high values and working ethics. We will have high technical know-how and competencies. Our managerial skills will be top class, and then our organizational skills will be top class. We then, because it's working, we can be able to now recognize the opportunities in our country. When roads are bad, that is opportunity to create jobs and be able to make, when there's no food, processing and so on, we can do it because of that, so we can be able to do all that. A third, even socio-culturally, our young people, instead of now, this one is an Igbo chap, this one is Yoruba chap, this is Fulani, they fight on the basis of this sentiment. No, when you have functional system like this, you'll find that this young chap will learn how to network and create strong connections. They cannot wait to come together to go to a particular place together. They will share knowledge, experiences, difficulties very, very maturely, and they can negotiate, discuss, and work jointly instead of quarreling. And then it is when this is happening, our technical energy to investigate and so on and so forth will become very, very strong, and we can be able to now create money, utilize it, recycle it effectively. And this is the secret of the triple helix. Government has to do certain things, politically, economically, morally, and technologically, power the knowledge system, and the knowledge system is oozing out technology and capacity and capability to ginger enterprises, and then once the political people see whatever is happening, they do further, and this is the secret of the triple helix. In the whole of Africa, helix, I think, is a chromosome genetic characteristic. They are winding up like this and they are getting strong. Yes, we have the lines, but we have the three straight lines. We can continue to talk about triple helix, but they're still remaining as straight lines. We have to do something like this conference to be able to do that. And once you start working, You don't clap for yourself. You will just see it. You will start seeing Nigerian engineers, South African engineers, Ghanaian engineers, designing, constructing, operating and maintaining fantastic roads like that. Not like now. At least I know in Nigeria. Anytime you see a nice road like this, it is at the commissioning. You'll see our big people with the scissors. You know, we're all watching on TV. And they are going to cut. But look behind them, you will see where the technology is coming from. The guy is short guy is standing there, whether it's Lebanese or Chinese or whatever, he is standing there. That is where the whole thing is happening. No, we want to also see the commissioning having the whole thing, like the Malaysians have done, like the Koreans have done, and the Singaporeans. We will now see also us, even if we're buying the iron ingots from somewhere, we should be able to design and implement a railway system. We should be able to conquer this power thing that we are abusing our leaders with. What is there? It is all about, we have the gas, you have thermal stations. It is know-how. We have sun, it's solar energy, it's knowledge system. We can buy the material and roll the cables out in this country. Towers like this, we should be able to construct it. What is the big deal? We should be able to do that. And then, using our communication programs in the various countries, we can be able to take the internet down to primary schools to surprise everybody. And then we engineers in agriculture can be able to come up with equipment that can fit on agricultural systems that can sustain 250 million, so that our farms will be like this, and then those cows will now start looking like normal cows. The udder and teat is full of milk, and then they cannot move. We're making money out of it. And then our small companies will start looking like this, and so on and so forth. And our products will be like this all over the world. And then that is when you say that, yes, it's working. And I can tell you this is possible. It is not just a movie. But we must do certain things. We must change the strategy. We must match what we do. We must lead well, and we must be very, very logical. And we have to also, if we do that, we would have recognized the globalization, and we would have resolved also to look at those countries and be able to follow, learn, and adopt well. And do all these things in an orderly manner, so that we can be able to logically put our countries on the track of development, so that we can conquer poverty, ensure that we create a middle class, and raise the profile of our country to the highest level. I believe that in the last, I don't know how many minutes, I have been able to talk to you about the rubrics, rudiments, and prospects of innovation and commercialization, which will unleash the opportunities of this continent to develop, evolve, modernize, be competitive, united as a continent, so that this continent can be respected. I thank you very much.
Wow. I think we should give him a standing ovation. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We are having 4 in 1. There's no way anybody that has listened to Engineer Binder, let me call him engineer, we leave this conference without remembering what he said today. This is what I call a transformational, is it lecture? I don't know what to call it, or sharing with us today. He has given us a lot to chew. I've listened to him 4 times now, so repeatedly. So starting from myself, I must not retire into poverty. And that's what you should tell yourself. None of us here should retire into poverty. I've had it so much that I will now start consulting him so that I will know how not to end in poverty. Simply put, I can say that this lecture has challenged us to move Africa. Let's look at Africa as an entity. To move Africa from developing, underdeveloped, least developed, undeveloped category to developed continent. Am I correct? That's simply what he has said. To change the picture, to change the face of Africa from what it is today to what it should be. And he has mentioned something persistently. Learn from the developed countries. It's not wrong to learn. Why we say, oh, we must do it the African way, but we must learn from them how to move from poverty to wealth. That's what he has said. Move from poverty to wealth. And of course, move from, what language will I use now? Local, unmodernized country or continent to modernized continent. Move from filth to cleanliness. Move from every form of underdevelopment to development. And he has given us all the take-home points. He has given us different houses. Are you in the science house? Are you in the engineering and technology house? Or are you in the innovation house? And no matter the house you're in, we can all collaborate. We can all come together and drive development for personal and for community growth. He has given us examples, starting in his own local place. The first time he told us that he sold everything he had, his mother thought he was going crazy. But that is a picture we should go home with. He turned a dilapidated building, an environment, to a modern facility where children are being trained, adults are being transformed. That's exactly what he has done. And we can expand that to nation building. Let's appreciate him once more with our clap. So, the floor is open for questions and comments. I will give numbers. I've seen on this side, I've seen number 1, number 2. Any more on that side before I move to my left? Okay, 2. On this side, in the middle, is anyone talking? Comments? Professor Gumola, you are smiling. Wanted to talk. Okay, number 3. What about on this side, on my far left? Is anyone talking, commenting? Okay. All right, sir.
Yeah, I want to thank you for that truly inspirational presentation. And my first question is a thought question, so you don't have to answer it. And the question is, why don't you run for president of Nigeria? Don't ask. The other thing is, I notice you are doing a great job with students, children, teaching them computers. Around the world, one of the hottest things children are doing now are robotics. And so they are learning how to take parts and build robots, and then they learn coding, how to control the robots. And I want to ask you, have you considered doing such a thing? And if not, I would encourage you to do so. I mean, there are national competitions, there are international competitions, and this is just happening all over the world now. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 2.
Thank you so much for the wonderful presentation. I'm also interested in the first part of your presentation where you took some risks and sold all you have. And I would want to find out, how is the sustainability plan of that project? You had an initial money from what you sold. Now, going forward, how are you sustaining the project? Are we getting funds from the government, local or national? Are we getting funds from the donor community, or are the tuition fees paid for those students?
Thank you. Number 3, Professor Gumola.
Well, the king of Notab is the way I will refer to our speaker. First, thank you for this presentation. And it's a challenge or shock therapy to many of us. And if it's not, then you need to re-examine yourself. I can describe our speaker of today as a young man. I think he appeared at Sheda at first, being recruited into the services. And he flowered. And today, he's addressing all of us on what we should do. I used to say the greatest accolade, achievement a professor can have is the very day that he's lectured by his own students. So I take that accolade, and I want to thank you tremendously. I think it's a lesson for all of us. That student we ignored, that student we didn't respond to his curiosity or to his question. And I remember asking some stupid questions when I was young. I was in school, and we were taught about pathogenesis of insects. And I asked a religious instructor in school then, who was literally a bishop. I said, is the birth of Jesus a case for pathogenesis? Don't be a devil, was the answer he gave me. So, this is truly a challenging lecture, and I hope all of us will be propagators of this principle. And that in teams and in groups, we'll allow it to influence both our lives, the lives of our community, the life of our profession, and most especially, we allow it for us to be able to use science to develop so much of the continent that needed so much of our help. The question that used to come to my mind, two people asking questions. What will happen if Africa should develop? Those are, what will happen if Africa should develop? And we can translate it to me, to my community, and to the world. And each and every one of us should answer that question professionally and respond to this type of lecture that we've listened to, and use it to drive so much of the human condition that exists on the continent of Africa, that we may not be left behind in the race to become true humanity. Thank you very much for your kind lecture.
Okay. Our LOC chair, Professor Konovoi.
Thank you very much for that very great presentation. My question is very simple. I want to ask, you saw how you described the situation in Africa, how we are not moving very well in the innovation pathway. And I wanted to ask, what role do you think our educational system has to play in this? Because recently, I believe very strongly, looking at the history of education in Nigeria, that the colonial system of education that was handed over to us was a little bit, didn't consider the aspects that we need to be able to think for ourselves. Indeed, they put in some milestones. For example, the 6-2-2-4 system, I don't know what you call it, whereby you have to wait a long time, where children are not given the opportunity to learn at a very early age. I remember those days, they would say, unless your finger can tell the other, yes, you cannot go to school. And I was one of those that actually went to school without my fingers. I had to rebel against the school system at that point in time. Now, they came out with the idea that unless you are 6 years old, yet, as a medical doctor, I know that the years during which the brain of the child develops the most, where he learns the most, is between 2 and 3 years. Because again, that's why Montessori education has become so important. So we're saying that unless a child is 18 years old, shouldn't go to university. I found that so annoying. I found that so annoying and intimidating. Today, where I gave the history of all those who discovered things in the world, they discovered it at very early ages. Why should our educational system, why should Nigeria be saying that unless you are 18 years of age, you cannot enter the university system? Whereas when I was in the United States, I was in Harvard, I was told that if you reach the age of 20, early 20s, and you're not yet a millionaire, you cannot become a millionaire again in your life. If you get to the age of 24, you're not beginning to be innovative, then you will not be able to innovate. Whereas we're looking at the education system, catching the old rather than catching the young. So I think that is a very major challenge. How can we get our school system, universities, to do something differently? Today, my friend Professor Lubayi, tomorrow will be talking here in this forum. Is he here? Professor Lubayi, please come to tomorrow's lecture. It's going to be very good. He thinks and talks like you. He once said that, the role of university teachers is not to teach. The role of teachers in primary school may be to teach people how to teach. By teaching, you are teaching them what is already known. You are teaching them what is known, is being published by other people. By contrast, the role of university teachers is to teach students how to learn and how to think. And so, are we doing that in Africa? Unless we teach them how to think, they will just come out, and I have a very strong feeling that most of the students who are training out are just being taught what have been discovered. We're not teaching them how to think and how to create, how to innovate. We're not teaching them how to think. And therefore, today's learning standard, which is based on student-centered learning, is the most approach. To what extent are we using that approach? Rather than the one that focuses on teacher-centered learning. The teacher reads to us what he was taught in primary school those days. He was taught in secondary school those days. The lesson notes were given to him by the school university professor that gave it to him. He comes to recite it to the students of today. How can that be? What type of innovation will we create for some students? I strongly believe that the challenge we have today, all of the things we discussed or we talked about, are related to our poor educational system. And how can we, since you've been in the presidency, you are so influential in this country, how can we get the university to begin to do things, to revise their curriculum, to address the problem you've talked about? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let him conclude and respond to these four, then we'll see if we have time. Over to you.
Thank you, Prof. Because the microphone system from the audience is not very clear, but I'll just attempt to, unless if there is any question that anybody has had and you want to answer it, please help me answer it. My professor there literally is an advice. It's not a question per se. I look at it. You have a center, you are bringing children into it, teaching basic things, using local community. All he is saying is you need to gradually also take it to the highest level. This is an IT, growing IT intensity world now, and therefore we have the computers, we have the internet, and therefore all he's saying, also take them through some of the rudiments. So that is the plan. Practically when you start doing this, even the people who are in your immediate community that you are trying to help will be the first to deal with you. I remember the children that we were bringing, when we started bringing the older children, they started stealing our cables, our mice, and so. I mean, if you steal a mouse, what are you going to do with it? And before I went home, they were chasing this child to the father's house. He has stolen a mouse. I told them, no. A child, we are not encouraging stealing, but this irresponsibility is also, that is why you say it's childish. I quenched it. But you just do your best and impregnate these ideas. And we're expanding our barriers to see the kind of partnership that we get. For example, if any time you are in Yola or anybody in Yola, just let me know. We will bring you in. Just have a word with the children and you will see the changes. There was a time when I told one of my guys that we go to the ministries and then we collect all those. I'm sure many people will remember 286s, 386s, 486s, Pentium, and all these early laptops that are all in the ministries, but no one can take it away because they say there is record. If you take it, they will send you to jail. We beg them from the top because of our network. We carry all this to the center. And on Saturdays, we do hands-on. I bought so many soldering irons. What the soldering irons? And I can unsolder a resistor. There are no more resistors anymore. But I mean, they're still, we can take it out. I can show them a hard drive. We open it, and they will see that silver disk, and we talk about it. I have so many floppy disks and, very old things. This interaction is opening people's, because we are lucky. Many of us here have seen it right from when there were no personal computers to today. You are doing cloud computing and artificial intelligence. So we are more confused than the young people. When you're trying to communicate with young people, they can't understand what you have gone through. So thank you, sir, for saying this, and I would certainly welcome more partnership with you. And then my second brother also said about the future of the project to do with financing. I remember we went to Jordan, and I had all the bits of money they pay us. We went there for 10 days, and they paid me all my per diem and whatever, or Esther code. And then by chance, I went into a shop where they're selling all this shawarma, chicken roasters, and so on. And I used all my money to buy that. And the people that we went to thought I was crazy again. Why are you buying this, Dr. Bindel? I said to them that we will come to the center, we will establish a shawarma, chicken roasting, chips, and fish, not necessarily to make money. You need to introduce these children to these takeaways too, so that they don't go to Lagos, they are opening their eyes, they don't know what you are saying. And you cannot believe it. By the time we started, you are not even going to make money because things are very expensive now. But I can tell you to come and join a queue, to read prices, to understand, this kind of business. It's a totally new knowledge to the children. And we're beginning to improve on that. But soon we're going to start making some few money, especially with the ground that I showed you to do with sports. There are people now who are coming to ask us to have wedding parties and so on at night. And we will charge them 250,000 or 150, and that we can use to actually run it. But we will open up and be able to do that. The only thing is that when you try to monetize these things, you will lose the focus of the actual reason for the project. So we have to look for another way to do it. Then my father said, what will happen if Africa were to develop? Well, I think the whole idea is for countries in Africa and ultimately Africa to develop. So it depends on that develop is the definition that is sometimes the key. What shocked me in the last 3 months is that Nigerians are complaining because there is a policy removing the oil subsidy, and also there is a policy that changed the exchange rate of the naira. Everybody is complaining about the president and his team and so on, to the extent that Nigerians are beginning to say that we don't have food to eat. That is the most ridiculous development I have ever experienced. All the opportunities to breathe. And the food, the type of food we eat, nobody is competing with us. We're eating cow leg. We're eating chicken feet. We're eating offals. The world has not discovered this yet. And we're complaining there's no food. Wait until the Chinese understand our amala and our tuwo, our kuka and our short leg, then you will know that there will be hunger in the land. You know? So now I talk to communities. I go to local universities just to motivate young people that wake up. Otherwise, this politics is actually damaging us more than that. So, sir, I think it's up to our leadership, and I encourage scientists, technologists, engineers, high-level knowledge workers to also become political. I went and I contested Senate. You know, when you contest Senate in this country, it's money that you spend. I swear to God, I didn't spend any money. Secondly, you have to do a lot of irresponsibility. You are dancing all over the place. You are doing all sorts of ridiculous things. I did not do that. And you have to make sure you carry security because you are going to do very bad things. I didn't do that. But you know the result of that? I didn't win. You know, because there's a value chain for this politics. But I can tell you, a lot of people came back to me because the guy who won when we contested did not win the main elections. And once you lose, that's it. They start abusing his father and everything. And they came back to me. But at least now they know I don't have money. And I used to go to the delegates and say, okay, I've worked in so many places. And I have left. I've never faced any anti-graft. I've never been taken to anywhere. So I have credibility and I know what I'm doing. Nobody has ever said that I didn't know what I was doing. So I think you need me to lead you. You know, I mean, this language, they don't. You need me. In fact, I said to them, under normal circumstances, all of you should come to my house and beg me to contest. But see me here begging you. But what I cannot do is that I cannot pay you for your voting. So it's up to you to do whatever, and it's up to them. They did it. But I can tell you there is a need for academia touch into the executive system to generate this triple helix. It will not happen if we continue putting our sides, like you saw those 3 circles. The scientists are maintaining their comfort zone. The technologies are messing up everything, and we're consuming other people's innovative products. That will not develop Africa. So we must also turn around. I was just lucky. I was very young when I rose to the highest level of academic. We were together with Professor Linus, you know, in the Oceania, running all over the place as young people. And something told me, I said, I want to go to the civil service. Came back here, I didn't go to the university. I saw the system is just in front of me. I could see that I will just condemn myself. I went to the civil service, but that academic helped me. Because an academic, when you go into the civil service, you like investigation, you like data, you like analysis, you like producing documents, and the civil servants respect that. Each time I come to a meeting, I don't just say, yes, today we have a project, and you know, that's how normally civil servants, I have paper, I have the objective, the key performance indicators that we're aiming. I share my paper to everybody. And gradually in the ministry they started, all ministers wanted to work with me. Why? Because once I go to any trip, in the aircraft, I have the 6-7 hours. I've already written my report. I don't sleep. Immediately I learn, I print it. That is the academic culture that I took to the civil service. And by the time I influenced policy a little bit. So gradually we have to also be part of it, sir, if this continent is to change. LOC chair, I think his comments he made. I think one thing that he said, maybe I should find a line in my presentations, is that in Africa we like catching them old rather than catching them young. I will find a slot, sir, so that when next I make presentation, I will do that. But I can tell you what I did in my center that I can convince you or deceive you that it may work is, for the first time in the history of at least our area or our state, in my center I had the National Conference of Headmasters. And I went and I got sponsorship. Nobody has ever called primary headmasters into a conference. Nobody. So I made sure that I documented all the schools. I got people to go and invite the headmaster. I paid for their transportation, just like they pay for our per diem. I replicated it there. I got sponsorship. I printed their names and their folders and gave them bags. I swear to God, after the conference is 2 days, I changed something totally. Only me, I gave a keynote speech. I didn't give papers. Just that keynote speech to shock treat them, to say that this is how you look at your primary school. Don't sit and wait for the Commissioner of Education to tell you what to do, but don't cross his line. Don't wait until the director tells you what to do, but don't cross his line. You too, you can create. You are registered, analyze it. Who is the child that is always coming late? Why is he coming late? Maybe he doesn't have food to eat. Maybe he lives far. You should know. And so on. And I'm telling you, this analysis shock-treated it. Till today, those headmasters, anywhere, because it's a local area, anywhere they see me, they come to me and they want to talk to me. Before, they thought I was very high and they could not actually reach me. I had to collapse and it worked. So, sir, this we too in our towers of knowledge, we have to continue to do it, not necessarily only at our community level, but we should also do it at national level. Instead of just inviting scientists and technologists and high-level workers to come and present papers, why can't even our own Academy of Science or Academy of Engineering just invite a member house or a local government chairman to come and tell you what he does in local government? Encourage him. Get somebody who get Linus to get that local government chairman, he will come. And when he sees big-time people like this and he's shivering here, trying to do that, it's a gradual thing. Africa has a lot of challenges, but I can tell you it has more solutions than actually challenges. That is what I see. And I hope, like you specified, we can be able to crack it. And once we do that, partnership will work. People will respect us a little bit. And when they negotiate with us to do things, they will negotiate intelligently, because they know that we know. But fighting and being resistive will not work. Yesterday I was with the armed forces. I presented a paper there. And somebody said to me, I don't use WhatsApp, I don't use Twitter, I don't use Facebook, and so on and so on, because AI, they are carrying data. I just looked at him. I said, but you are carrying an iPhone. You are carrying Samsung phone. You don't have an infrastructure. You are making noise for nothing. They are getting your information. Try also to get some information. That's the posture. The same energy, you can actually make progress. You know? So this mentality of you can be able to be on your own, it's not even viable now. But you just have to evolve that symbiotic platform and be able to get what you want. If your farmers are farming well, if your hospitals are working well, if the schools are teaching well, who cares? Let AI do all the eyes in the world. But if you resist, no matter what you do, this data you have, they will catch it. And there's no there, actually, it does not exist, because it's an intangible community. You can say Zuckerberg or whatever, or the Microsoft people, no. It's just technology. As we are sitting here, it's affecting us. But when you publish high-level papers in fantastic journals, it is there. It has already gone. So I think, I don't know if I have addressed some of this, but certainly for me, I've enjoyed coming here. I've always enjoyed intellectual discussions, and I really appreciate, sir, the LOC chair, for inviting me. I thank, you want to ask? I think they've, let me encourage them to change their mind. Okay.
I think you can just stand. Yes, the man at the back with an orange, yes. What of Professor Tawodi? He's not asking again. Okay.
Thank you very much, Prof. It's always insightful listening to you. Just a quick question, Prof, on regarding intellectual property protection for research output, particularly in a resource-constrained environment like where I work. As a researcher in developing country like Africa, you mentioned that we often face challenges as regards funding for our research projects. And sometimes we have to self-fund our research and all for significant financial burden. So given this, I want to ask, what strategies would you suggest that, or would you recommend we could use to protect intellectual property rights, such as patents, trademarks, and copyright, like you mentioned, specifically in people like us who don't have access to significant research funding?
And finally, yes, you, finally.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bender, for a wonderful presentation. You made mention of the problem associated with the paying for the IP, protection of the IP, as well as also maintaining that, because it has to be maintained over a period of time. I'm Director of Research and Innovation of my university, Usman Danfodio University, Sokoto. Even recently we made submission at NOTAP, a couple of submissions we have made, but it has always been under my mind on how we will be able to maintain that IP, even when we get it protected at the first instance. Not many universities in Nigeria would be able to sustain that. And secondly, I also have been made to understand that you don't only file it in Nigeria, but you also possibly have to file it in the United States or other countries, where you also have to pay money and also have to pay for the maintenance. The whole system, it looks to me as if it has been designed in favor of the West. We don't have the money to file and to maintain that IP. So even if it is protected in Nigeria, if it is not protected in the US or some other country, they can easily steal that technology and then make use of it over there.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So that will be the last. I didn't hear the first person at all. I didn't know what you I didn't hear it.
Thank you very much, Prof. The gentleman in orange, honestly, I didn't hear what you said, but towards the end, I just heard IPR, and I think it's consolidated by the second speaker also. Now, I will just answer him, maybe it will cover your listing. IP payments and implementation and NOTAP and so on. Look, the strongest IP that most people know is the industrial property IP, not even the copyright. Now, even conferences like this, you see this thing that we presented here and many of the papers, in many international organizations, unless the paper presenters sign a piece of paper to say, yes, you can put it in the proceedings, that is copyrightable. I go to many conferences and they ask me and I will just sign it. I say, you can publish it if you like. But this industrial property, patents, trademark, industrial design, one thing you should understand by patenting system is that a patent is a protection territorially. So if you go to the patent registry in Nigeria and you submit your patent there, they will have a part when they will say, this has been submitted so day. But if you come to NOTAP, NOTAP doesn't do the protection. NOTAP will that put a platform of support to pay for you to file. So we have a budget in NOTAP to help people. This is just to help academics to now patent as fast as possible. And because we are all public institutions, we can go and see the registrar and say, look, whether you are granting it or not, please do it quickly. We don't want to wait for 6 months, 9 months, and so on and so forth. But the bottom line is that in the US or Japan or South Africa or England and whatever, the patenting process is very, very tedious. They have thorough examination. You need a patent attorney. A patent attorney is a patent lawyer, but who is a scientist. He starts from science and ends up in the area knowing in fact, if you pull something like 1,000 Nigerian patents and you attempt to file it in the US, maybe only 10 will pass through. Why? Because here we don't have thorough examination. In fact, you can take something that is being sold in the market, package the papers and file in Nigeria and get the patent. But you will enjoy the territorial protection. If you have a patent today and you're licensing out, and then a Chinese company brings the product and is selling in Nigeria, you can take him to court because you have a territorial protection. But if he's selling it in Ghana, you don't have anything to do with it. You can't. So you have to understand that, you know? So if you want to file in the US, it will take you, I don't know, depending on the technology, maybe Professor Linus Opara will tell he has many of them. It will take you a long time, but having a patent and keeping it in your file at home, it does not make any sense if you cannot be able to license it and make money out of it. You might as well just teach your students and tell your community about the whole technology, and then they clap for you, and that's fantastic. But if you have a patent, the reason why I say maintaining it is that every year you have to pay money to the patent registry to remember your patent and that you are still protected, and you must have that certificate. Otherwise, if you fail behind in payment, that patent might jump into what we call as public domain, and that's it. It's dead. It's end. Are you with me? So, but we can discuss more. There are so many people here who have experience with the patenting. Some of them have patents that have been sitting in their houses for the last 20 years. Others have got patents that they are making small money. Others, I have many patents. Many of my patents are even the technology transfer model I use in the last 15 years is to give it for free in areas where it is applicable. I will even go and teach you the process. I invented a solar water still. That is, you can make a tiny little thing using wicks, and it can evaporate pure water out of salt water. You leave the salt behind, and you can drink the water. And I did this because I worked in Papua New Guinea. I have traveled to Fiji. I have gone to Vanuatu. I've been in Solomon Islands. And I've been in New Caledonia. I've seen their problem. So there's no way I can say until they pay, they can benefit. I dash it to them, but I have the paper so that people will just clap for me that I have a patent. But actually, it's pointless. So like I said, Prof, first of all, I have to thank my moderator. She's my mentor, actually. She carried me to her university, where she was vice chancellor, to give her convocation lecture. And she put me in a 5-star hotel, and I was eating fantastic food, and she gave me money when I was coming back. I will never, ever forget this. And she's a symbol of unity. Her name is Chinedum, which is an Igbo name. Her husband's name is Babalola, and she has also Salamatu. So she is both the North, the South, the Igbo, and the Yoruba, as you see her. She's an embodiment of it. So thank you very much, Professor. I have to thank the young people at the back there. When I came to make this presentation, they were giving me strong head. They said it's not possible. But they realized that I may be older than them, but I'm also a technical person. I said, if you don't have an HDMI cable, I have one in my car. I will bring it. So they realized that, but the young man is excellent. So thank you very much, guys. They managed to give me the connection. It's fantastic. And
somebody's waving at you.
Professor, is that not Professor Martin? Yeah. He's my mentor also. He's the Babalawo of Africa. All the traditional medicine.
We have another Mamalawo here.
Where?
Mamalawo, stand up.
That's the Mamalawo also. Okay. Professor Martin, we used to suffer together, but now he has money, and he has gone away and left me behind. Thank you. Well done. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much. I'll just say one word and we will thank him. We called you, Professor Tawodi, you were not here. One take home from his response is that when we're organizing these kind of meetings, even if we don't get a minister to come and talk, we can bring a local government chairman to come and talk. We can bring a headmaster to come and talk. I think that's one take home. Please, can we all chorus, thank you, Engineer Bindri? Everybody, 1 to go. One more time. Please listen to us. I call him Prof, even though he doesn't accept. Please, everybody, Engineer Bindi, please listen to us first. Okay, everybody, 1 to go. Thank you very much. Let's clap for him again. I think that's the end of the session. You can go for your tea break, or you have an announcement. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We've had a very good today. And in fact, all the sessions were very phenomenal. As a matter of fact, I had to be running, do 5 minutes here, go to another session, and it was really, really tough. Because I put this together, and I knew what I put together. And actually, as LOC, I was able to organize it around some areas where I wanted some more information. So that was the trick. And I was going from one place to the other and gathered a lot. So thank you very much, all the speakers, the audience. But tomorrow will be very exciting, I can tell you. Tomorrow is going to be very, very exciting. The good news is that in the morning we'll be having the AS business meeting, only for fellows. I don't know how many fellows are here, but I believe we'll probably hold it in a smaller room so that we'll be able to talk like brothers and sisters in that room. So that will be between 9 and 1 p.m. So those of you who are not fellows, we are arranging for those of you who didn't travel today to go down to Abuja, to go and visit Abuja. Those of you who couldn't go today. So around 9 o'clock tomorrow, we can organize another trip for those of you who are not fellows, so that you don't stay doing nothing. And then at 1 p.m., between 1 p.m. to 2 p.m., we will have another very interesting, presentation, which will be a follow-up to what Dr. Omar just presented. He's going to talk about the roots and how educational systems can help to make us entrepreneurial, to make us innovative, and so on and so forth. Professor Olubayi is a very, very strong and powerful speaker on this issue. And if you have been to this conference, one of the speeches you must listen to is Olubayi's speech. And if you don't get value from it tomorrow, don't talk to me again. Just say Friday Conference is a nonsense. Forget me. Olubayi is he here? He's the Vice Chancellor of University of Uganda. And I want you to please do me a favor to listen to him. It's going to be 1 hour, and it's just a plenary. And after that, we are going to also have another great presentation, which is a launch of the AS strategic plan, what exactly the areas that the AS will be working on in the next couple of years and months. It's going to be very interesting because the president will lead the session to tell you what we plan to do. And the reason why we're doing this is to get people to collaborate with us and partner with us in these various areas that are very dear to our heart. They are contained in our strategic plan. And if you do find time to go over our strategic plan, you see that all of these initiatives that are there, we are just going to highlight a few so that we are seeking your collaboration. But especially from those in the diaspora, those of us, the New York Academy of Science is there, President of New York Academy of Science is there, Nature is there, and so many other persons want you to collaborate with us in the future to want to do. Then at 3 p.m., we are going to have an award. Again, it's a plenary here by the Nature Journal. They are making a series of awards. I think you know that Nature is the most powerful journal in the entire world in science. I'm sure you know that. So if you have one single paper in Nature, it's equivalent to 50 papers in some other journals, if not more. The most prestigious journals, and we're extremely delighted and proud to have the editor. Margareta, we haven't introduced you. Can you please stand up? The editor of Nature here present. So tomorrow she will be making these awards and here at this conference, and then she'll be able to tell us more about Nature and how we can get published in Nature, so on and so forth. So, okay. Huh? Okay, thank you. So, and then tomorrow is going to be banquet and dinner here. Banquet, and it's going to be very innovative. I don't know how many of you have gone to a marriage ceremony in Nigeria before. We are going to add the Nigerian aspect of it. So those of you who are not Nigerians, tomorrow you are going to see dancing, you are going to see jokes, you are going to see, actually we have a dancing competition. When I'm going to take on the president of the AS in the dancing, and I wish all of you to be here. We want to make it as interesting as possible. So you are going to come with your dancing shoes, your native attires, tomorrow beginning at 6 p.m. And I promise you, at that point, we're going to have so many events that will also happen along with it, which include the inauguration of new fellows will also be made at that particular session, 6 p.m. tomorrow. And that means that we'll have to close at about 4 o'clock so that the hotel persons will be able to prepare this room for the dinner and dance and so on and so forth. So, ladies and gentlemen, it has been a suggestion that at the end of this session, we'll take a group photograph. Is it here or outside? Okay, there a good photograph, and that will end the session. It's going to be great tomorrow, so please have a rest in the morning, those of you who are not fellows, or go to the city. Abuja is very nice. You can see very fine places. Then you can actually buy some things to take back to your various countries. On that note, and thank you very much. Thank you for coming, and bless you all.